Hello everyone, it's Fraser298 back again to give you another video, and this time I'm going to give you my review for episode 3 of Touken Ranbu Hanamaru. Surprisingly, I'm still watching the show, even though it's kind of lackluster at times, but it's pretty good so far. It's weird. I have like a love-hate relationship with it, so I'll talk about the episode right now. So the first half of the episode, because again, they're still doing this format of like the first half, it'll kind of irrelevant to the story. Well, it's all episodic. All these episodes are probably going to be episodic at most, but I feel like the first half of the episodes are mainly at most the episodic part, and then the later half is like maybe more relevant towards the story and actually better than the first half. So the first half starts off with a character named Hirano. He's this cute looking kid. I say kid, but all the swords are probably like they're hundreds of years old, so whatever. He's a cute-looking child who is playing in the garden, and he finds a 4-leaf clover because, you know, he says in the episode that the odds of finding one is 1 in, I think, 10,000 is what he said, so it's pretty hard to find it. He gives it to the grumpy-looking guy who's working out because he's been having bad luck, so he gives it to him as a good luck charm. And, you know, it's worked out for him. And then what proceeds to happen is a back and forth of transactions or trades between the characters in the show. So, for instance, he ends up getting this dumbbell. And then he gives the dumbbell to a guy who is writing Japanese on a piece of paper, but the piece of paper keeps blowing because he leaves it open the door. He leaves the door open, basically, and he uses it as a paperweight. He gives him something, and then so on and so forth. It's basically he stops until he gets a cake, like this Western-style cake that this guy who was working on the fields gave it to him, and then he gives it to a buddy of his who's just sitting drinking tea. And it's always funny because every time he gets an object, he walks past this person and he's just drinking tea peacefully, and it was always funny seeing that. So he gives him the gift, the cake, and my husbando comes over and proceeds to want to take a photo to preserve this moment, and he's like, okay, well, you're gonna all say delicious and you're gonna smile, and they're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're like, okay, so when do we stop? It's like, no, shut up, you can't talk, just keep smiling. It's like, okay, and it just kind of ends there. So that was kind of funny, kind of okay, but again, it wasn't, you know, integral to the plot of this series. So it's just kind of like a nice interaction between characters. That's about it, really. That's all I have to say. The second half was a really good second half of this episode, I'd say. It was basically, so in the first half, this is the head sword guy who gives battle orders of people when to go and stuff like that. He asks in the beginning, what kind of tree is planted right in front of them, and they don't know. In the second half, they continue on with that, so it's kind of actually not episodic. It is a continuum thing, I suppose, if you actually think about it, because he was talking about the tree in the first half of the episode, and then in the second half, it's brought up again. So yeah, sure, okay, not episodic, but again, the format of an episode is episodic. So he looks at the tree and he's like, what kind of tree is this? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have any roots, so it's not a cherry blossom tree. I don't get it. It's not this type of tree. And they're debating amongst the swords what kind of tree it is, to which they say, well, let it blossom its buds and we'll see what kind of tree it is due to the leaves. To which my boy Yasusada, the main guy who's basically in every episode solving problems for people, is like, all right, we're gonna write, I wish this to be a cherry tree, because everybody's wishing that this tree is a cherry tree, but they didn't actually know that it wasn't. They're not sure what kind of tree it is. They just assumed it was a cherry tree, and they're all wishing like, hey, wouldn't it be kind of great if we could get a cherry tree? That'd be really cool. To which, Yasusada is like, all right, we're gonna all write, I wish this is a cherry tree, 1,000 times on pieces of paper. And it's like the Japanese thing of like you write a wish on a piece of paper and you hang up a tree, and it's supposed to come true. So it's like folklore. It's not folklore. It's just like superstition, cultural thing, whatever. I'm not gonna dive into that and give you the history behind it. But basically, you write a piece of paper. I wish for this to happen, or I wish this happened to me, or something like that. You write your wish and you hang it on a tree, and usually it comes true. So they all start writing, I wish this will be a cherry blossom tree or whatever, a Sakura, and they write it constantly, and when they all hang it up on the tree, all right, to my dismay, I let me tell you what I thought happened, and then what actually did happen. So what I thought would happen was they hang it up on the tree, and then it would just instantly blossom. What ended up happening, I was kind of partially right. What ended up happening was when he gave out the pieces of paper, it was pink on the back on one side. So I don't know how nobody saw this. Like, I'm sorry, but okay, so the camera, or like the way of focus in this episode is like they're hanging it up and you just see the white side, right? Don't tell me that none of them took the piece of paper and looked at the back, to which they were like, huh, I wonder why this side's pink. Or maybe they just didn't really care. I don't get it. But like, nobody made that connection. Or like, we didn't get to see that until now. Obviously, you, me, the audience, we know why I didn't do that. But like, you're telling me no character in the show looked at it and was like, huh, it's pink on one side. Oh, well. Or like, none of them wrote on the pink side. They all wrote on the white side. You're telling me that? You're telling me nobody spilled a couple pieces of paper and nobody wrote on the pink side? I didn't see that. So anyways, at the end, they all stand back in awe because it's pink pieces of paper. So when the light hits the tree, it looks like it's cherry blossoms on the tree because it's pink pieces of paper and it's reflecting off the color pink on the pieces of paper to make it look like a sakura. To which Sada, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, forgive me, I'm not Japanese. He lies in the trees and he sees that earlier these little, they look like kids, right? I'm just going to call them kids. I know they're like probably hundreds of years old, right? Because they're swords, right? But these kids were complaining that their older brother wasn't there with them and they hoped that one day he would come with them. And when he's on the cherry tree, he sees that these kids wrote these wishes that one day I hope we could play with like Ishikun or something like that. I think that was his name. And he's like, you know what? This is a special kind of tree. And then he sees like cherry blossoms actually blooming. Or cherry buds, if you will, from the tree. It wasn't there when they all went up, but then it was there when they put up the wishes. So the cherry tree heard their wish and made it come true. So who knows? Maybe the little kids will get to see their brother one day. And that's the emotional aspect to the show. Remember, a couple videos ago, I said that if they're gonna play the emotional aspect, they gotta do it right. And this is a good way of playing that emotional aspect. If it wasn't for the fact that there's a whole bunch of characters in this show, so it's very difficult to play that emotional aspect when you don't actually know anything about these characters. Also, quick shout out to this YouTuber right here for commenting for a link on basically showing me all the characters in the show and giving them names. Only problem is that it's in Japanese and there's no subtitles, so I have to listen by ear to all these characters. Or, I could have done the more logical thing, and actually I did do the logical thing when making this video, was I just went on the Mao and read the characters. So that's about it. So, actual kind of review part, it was a good episode. Like, I thought I would be kind of bored with this show, and I'm still leaning towards, like, maybe it will be kind of boring kind of thing, but it's the second half of these episodes that make me go, wow, this is actually really good. If they just kept it like this, they just keep this kind of rhythm pace of just using the second half of the episode, but like making it, full scale episode, I think it would hit better. Honestly, I can. But I do understand that, they got to please the fans who play the game. I haven't played the game, so I don't know anything about this. I'm just going by the anime. I know that they have to please the fans, and also, they gotta like set it up. It can't just be straight, here's some emotional impact. It's got to be like, here's some comedic relief and stuff, like to release the tension, and then we'll build up to something impactful. So it really does, I understand it's impactful, but it's people like me that complain about the first half of these episodes and go, well, I really didn't care. Like, you could take them away, and I don't care. It's the second half that's good though. So anyways, overall it was okay, borderline okay episode. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Alright, congratulations for making it this far into the video. Click here to see the playlist of videos that I'm doing for Touken Ranbu Hanamaru, and click here for a surprise video that you probably haven't seen on this channel, even on my second channel. Speaking of my second channel, click in link. There's a link in the description below for my second channel. Go subscribe there. I do other videos that I probably don't well, I don't upload here, so you probably might see that, as well as the fact that if you want to see what I'm doing in my daily life, I have a Snapchat. Also, link in the description below. Add me on there, and you can see some funny stories and stuff. And even we could have a Snapchat streak, because some of my friends are a-holes, and they keep breaking them. You know who you are. As well as my anime list in the link in the description below, so you can see what I'm watching this season, as well as what I've watched. Or maybe I haven't seen a show, and you can see if I didn't watch it or not, and then you can recommend it to me, and stuff like that, and, open up a discussion and stuff. That's really good. So yeah, that's all the important links. I've been your host, Fraser2198. Hit that like button if you liked what I was talking about. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, guys.